Today I'm going to be going over a list of 10 things that I've noticed about the Super73 ZX. So I've owned, or should I say we've owned, because I got the Super73 ZX for my wife, this bike for about a week. I've been the one that's primarily been riding it as my wife has been out of town. I know that when she gets back, she's gonna love this thing. She barely had a chance to ride it before she left. I've made a list of 10 things that I've noticed, so let's get into them. Number one, the bike just feels light. Now I know it's only about 10 pounds lighter than my Super73 S2, but that's very noticeable with the ZX. I made the comment in my unboxing video that it feels like you can ride this bike without the battery. Now it still is an e-bike, it's still heavy. I actually tried to ride it to my friend's house without turning on the battery and it was tiring, but it is noticeably lighter, which is awesome. It makes it feel like you're riding around on air and it's a little bit more maneuverable. Now number two might be related to number one, where the bike is a little bit lighter, but it does feel a little bit more torqueier. Now with that 10-pound difference, I'm sure it can get a little bit more get up and go than having an extra 10 pounds, but I do know there is an updated motor on here. However, that motor only goes to 1,350 watts, unlike my peak on my Super73 S2 can get up to 2,000 watts at peak. It feels like you can get from 0 to max speed in a shorter amount of time than you can on my S2. Now there's a few things I've added to my S2, like an extra battery and things like that that might slow it down a little bit. This thing has torque right off the get-go. In fact, my friends who have ridden it, who have also ridden my S2 or have a Super73, their initial reaction is wow, as soon as it cruises down the road. Now number three seems like it's becoming a commonplace for the Super73 products, and that is bolt holes in the frame for adding accessories and modifications. Things like mole panels by Blur Boundaries, various bags, extra batteries, other things that you can mount to this thing. Now the Super73 Z1, which this is the upgrade from, doesn't have those features. It's really nice to see some of those bolt holes throughout the frame so that you can customize this to your liking. Number four, you may already know this, but the top speed on the Super73 ZX is 28 miles per hour. Now I noticed with my weight, it's around 26 miles per hour. So it'll be interesting to see when my wife gets on the bike, who is about a whole 100 pounds lighter than I am, if she can hit that 28 mile per hour top speed every single time. When the battery's fully charged, I can hit it as soon as there's a little bit of use out of the battery. It seems that 26 becomes the top speed. The fifth thing that I noticed that I want to point out to you is that you might want to consider upgrading the brakes. The Super73 ZX comes with mechanical brakes, which is fine, they do the job, but after riding around on hydraulic brakes on my S2, you really know the difference, and a good set of brakes is crucial, especially with your e-bikes. There are several options. You can upgrade the whole line, or you can get hydraulic calipers, which connect right into your mechanical brakes and the steel cables, and I think that's the route that I'm considering because it's the easiest. You don't have to replace all the lines, worry about the brake cutoff sensor or the throttle cutoff sensor. It just seems like an easier option. So I would consider upgrading the brakes if you're gonna get this bike. Now that could be anywhere from $150 to $300. Number six is something that you may have already noticed as well, and that is there is no light kit on the Super73 ZX. So you don't have a headlight and you don't have a tail light, at least on the US version. And there really is no plug and play option of adding a headlight or a tail light connected directly through the battery. That's because there's no 12-volt connection off of the battery that you can connect into. Now you can get light kits off of Amazon that plug into an external battery, but what that means for you is you have to charge that external battery and make sure it's charged before you do any sort of night riding. But there are a lot of good options out there. Currently what I have on my bike is this Soonfire headlight. It's actually super bright. You can't really tell in the video, but it does a great job. One thing I am lacking though is a tail light, and all I have is a reflector that comes included, but at night you really need some brakes to light up. I'm gonna come up with another solution, but where this is my wife's bike, I gotta run everything by her first. Number seven is something that shocked me. You see what I did there? The Super73 ZX does not come with any shocks. However, the reason why I was shocked or surprised is because The seat is actually very comfortable and it absorbs a lot of the road bumps that you would experience when riding this around town, which is pretty much what I've done with this thing. Now I've taken my Super 73 S2 off-road and you can feel every bump on your rear end as you're going down a trail. This is more of a city bike. It's more for the roads or the pavers, everything like that. Any little bump, any curb to road transition on this bike has actually been pretty comfortable. I don't know what they put in the seat at Super 73. It is surprisingly comfortable, and I've heard that comment from other people who have picked up the ZX. So even though there's no shocks, I can't say this enough, it is a pretty comfortable ride. I pretty much love everything about this bike so far, but number 8 is a little bit of a bummer, and that is it does feel sluggish going uphill. Now I live in the Rocky Mountains, and of course the city I live in has a lot of hills, and so it's a little bit more noticeable where I live than if you live somewhere closer to a beach or closer to flat land, because flat land, this thing is great, but as I'm going up hills, I notice that it dies way down, even more than my Super 73 S2. Now it can still manage to get up the hills, but it does take a little bit more effort to get me up the hill. Again, it'll be interesting to see about my wife, to see what her experience is on it, because she is a lot lighter than me. Number 9 is a little bit more of a wish, but it kind of surprised me that it didn't come included with any fenders. Now I know you're not going to generally be outside riding this thing in wet environments. However, there are those sprinklers that hit the sidewalks, or there's those puddles in the gutters that you just can't avoid. It does get the undercarriage wet. In fact, I can see some water spots on this bike that I better clean off before my wife gets home, so she doesn't know how much I've been riding it. Of course, she could probably tell on the odometer. Yeah, I wish it came with fenders. Now, I know that the European version comes with fenders. I don't know if that's because of European laws or whatnot. The European ZX does come with a lot more features. The US model, which is right here in front of me, is a little bit more stripped down, but I feel like adding fenders wouldn't add too much to the overall cost. I'm sure Super 73 was really trying to keep this thing under $2,000, so we don't get a lot of those extra features like lights or fenders. And to be completely honest, I think I'll have a lot of fun adding my own fenders and really customizing this bike to fit my wife's style. Now the number 10 item on my list is also something that surprised me, and that is that the Super 73 ZX feels a lot more sportier than my S2. Now I don't know if that has to do with the more narrow wheelbase or the wider handlebars, but you're basically sitting on top of the front tire, which makes it feel a little bit more maneuverable and easier to weave in and out of things. So it makes it a lot of fun to cruise around the city, hit the sidewalks, hit the streets, and avoid obstacles on this thing. That's my favorite thing about the Super 73 ZX. Now I know I've listed 10 things in this video that I've observed about the Super 73 ZX. As I ride it more, or as my wife rides it more, there might be some things we want to add to this list that we like about this bike, and there might be some things that we want to add to the list that we don't like about this bike. If that list piles up, then you bet I'll make a follow-up video based on what I talked about today. Now these are just my opinions. Your experience with Super 73 or the Super 73 ZX could be completely different than mine, but if you're considering this bike, then you can consider some of the things that I've talked about in this video. And if you've made up your mind about a Super 73, be sure to click my link below, and that will get you $100 off your purchase of a Super 73. However, it doesn't apply to the Super 73 ZX just yet, but that should be coming soon. It should apply to any other bike you might be interested in. There are also several other links down below that are essentials for e-bikes and for adding on to your Super 73, so be sure to check those out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I hope it helped you. If it did, be sure to give it a like, comment down below, and let me know what you think about the Super 73 ZX, or anything for that matter. I don't know if you've noticed, but I respond to every initial comment that this channel gets, so I love to hear from you guys. And of course, while you're down there chatting it up, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I have a ton more content coming out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.